Most men think they'd recognize the signs of betrayal immediately. They imagine late-night texts, secret calls, or suspicious behavior that's impossible to ignore. But here's the reality. Around 85% of men completely miss the signs when they're being cheated on. Why? Because women don't cheat the way men expect them to. They don't always get caught with lipstick stains or suspicious receipts. Instead, they're often far more subtle, strategic, and emotionally intelligent about how they conceal their actions. Where men might stumble and leave obvious clues, women can weave their stories into everyday conversation. So naturally, you don't even notice the cracks forming. Think about it. Words are powerful. And when it comes to relationships, they can be a weapon, a shield, or a distraction. Many women use seemingly harmless phrases that sound ordinary, phrases you've probably heard countless times. But underneath, they're carrying hidden meanings. They can signal emotional distance, concealed guilt, or even active infidelity. And most men never question them until it's too late. That's why today I want to give you something most men never have: awareness. Awareness of the 6 most common phrases women use when they're cheating. Once you understand them, you'll never listen to these words the same way again. You'll notice the patterns, the excuses, and the subtle signals that could save you from months or even years of living in the dark. So pay attention, because what you're about to learn might not just change how you see your relationship, it could change how you see trust, loyalty, and human behavior altogether. 1. So-and-so understands me so well. When a woman says, so-and-so understands me so well, most men dismiss it as harmless. At first glance, it sounds like she's simply appreciating a friend, colleague, or acquaintance. But beneath the surface, this phrase can reveal far more than casual admiration. It can be an early sign of emotional detachment from her partner and a potential precursor to deeper involvement with someone else. Human beings crave understanding. One of the deepest needs in any relationship is to feel seen, heard, and validated. When a woman expresses that someone else understands her more than her partner, she's indirectly saying, "I don't feel that level of connection with you." This is where danger begins. Emotional validation is often the first step toward forming intimacy. Unlike physical attraction, which can be impulsive and short-lived, emotional intimacy builds gradually, creating a bond that feels safe, comforting, and addictive. When she says another man gets her, it means he's filling a gap that you're not. The phrase also introduces comparison into the relationship. By highlighting how much another person understands her, she subtly frames that individual as more attentive, empathetic, or compatible than you. Even if she doesn't say it outright, the underlying message is clear. There's something I'm not getting from you that I'm finding elsewhere. Over time, repeated comparisons can shift her loyalty. Admiration grows, respect transfers, and the emotional center of her world starts to move from her partner to the other man. This is why emotional affairs often start with small comments and escalate into something far more damaging than anyone expected. From a psychological perspective, this phrase is a signal of unmet emotional needs. If she feels overlooked, dismissed, or misunderstood in her relationship, she will naturally gravitate towards someone who provides that missing piece. And often, the man who understands her so well is not extraordinary. He's simply listening in ways her partner no longer does. But here's the catch. When admiration is expressed outwardly, it's rarely just an innocent statement. It's a test. Sometimes she wants to see how you'll respond, whether you'll brush it off, get defensive, or step up and re-engage with her emotionally. What begins as a phrase of admiration can quickly snowball into attachment. Once she starts leaning on another man for emotional support, she develops a habit of confiding in him. Secrets are shared, jokes are exchanged, and trust deepens. Before long, she may feel closer to him than to you. This is why so-and-so understands me so well should not be ignored. It's not just an observation, it's a red flag. In many cases, emotional cheating is more destructive than physical infidelity because it erodes the foundation of trust, respect, and exclusivity in the relationship. The worst mistake a man can make is to dismiss or laugh off this phrase. Instead, it should be taken as a signal to reinvest in the relationship. Ask yourself, am I really listening when she talks, or am I distracted? Do I make her feel validated, Or do I rush to fix problems without understanding her emotions? Have I been present in ways that matter to her? By confronting these questions, men can often reestablish emotional closeness before it's too. 3. I need more space for myself. Few phrases in a relationship are as loaded as this one. On the surface, it sounds balanced and even reasonable. After all, we live in a world that constantly talks about personal growth, self-care, and independence. Wanting space can be framed as a healthy step, a way to recharge, discover oneself, and maintain individuality within the relationship. And sometimes it truly is. But make no mistake, in many cases, I need more space for myself is not about healthy independence. It's about creating distance without confrontation. It's about detaching emotionally while disguising it as personal growth. And if left unchecked, this phrase can signal the slow unraveling of intimacy. There are two interpretations of this phrase. The genuine request. A partner may feel overwhelmed, burned out, or simply in need of time to reset. This kind of space leads to constructive activities, like pursuing hobbies, reconnecting with family, studying, exercising, or reflecting. The purpose is growth, and when the space ends, the relationship usually feels refreshed. The masked withdrawal. Here, space is not about recharging. It's about pulling away. It's a polite way of saying, I don't want to be close to you right now. Instead of openly discussing dissatisfaction, she uses the language of independence to justify emotional and physical distance. And often that space is being used to entertain someone else's presence. The difficulty lies in telling the difference. And that's why this phrase is so dangerous, because it straddles the line between healthy and harmful. The psychology behind space, psychologically, this phrase is powerful because it flips the narrative. It reframes withdrawal as something positive, almost noble. Instead of saying, I don't feel connected to you anymore, or I'm seeing someone else, she frames it as, I'm taking care of myself. That framing does two things. It protects her from accountability. If you push back, she can accuse you of being controlling or unsupportive of her independence. It creates cover for new connections. While you're respecting her space, she's building emotional intimacy elsewhere, guilt-free. This is why the phrase is often used at transitional moments in relationships. It gives her a socially acceptable way to create distance without revealing the real reason for it. The truth of her intentions isn't in the phrase itself, it's in what follows afterward. If the space results in her returning calmer, more connected, and more communicative, it was likely genuine. But if it leads to more secrecy, less affection, and colder interactions, then the space is serving another purpose. Look for signs like she no longer shares details about her day. She spends more time online or out, but you're not included. Physical intimacy declines and conversations feel forced. She seems emotionally invested elsewhere, even if she doesn't admit it. In these cases, space is not about self-care. It's about preparing for separation. The danger of this phrase is that it creates false hope. Most men hear it and think, she just needs time. If I give her space, she'll come back stronger. And so they wait. They back off. They stop asking questions. But in reality, that distance is often being used to build closeness with someone else. It's not the sudden betrayal that hurts most. It's the slow drip of emotional disconnection. The man thinks he's being patient and supportive, while in reality, he's unknowingly stepping aside as another man fills the emotional void. The key here is not blind compliance. Yes, give her space if it's truly about her growth. But don't be naive. Instead of just stepping back, observe carefully. Ask yourself, what is she doing with this space? Does her behavior during this time align with personal growth or with secrecy? Do you feel she's moving toward you or away from you? If her version of space includes shutting you out, dodging questions, or becoming emotionally cold, then you're not looking at self-care. You're looking at withdrawal, and it's important not to ignore it. I need more space for myself is one of the most deceptive phrases in relationships because it sounds positive on the surface but can mask serious problems underneath. Sometimes it's genuine, but in many cases it's the first step in creating distance that allows infidelity or separation to take root. Space should build a relationship, not destroy it. And if the space she's asking for leads only to secrets and silence, then it's not about growth. It's about detachment. And it may be the clearest sign yet that she's pulling away from you, not toward you. 4. I'm working late tonight. Perhaps the most classic excuse in the book. Work is the perfect cover for dishonesty because it's both believable and difficult to challenge. Everyone understands the demands of a job, and questioning it can make you seem unsupportive. That's why working late is one of the most common phrases used to cover infidelity. The danger here lies in repetition. A single late night at work is normal. But when it becomes a pattern, combined with subtle shifts in behavior, it's time to take a closer look. Notice if she suddenly spends more time at work than before, or if she avoids discussing the details of her schedule. Pay attention to inconsistencies. Does her story change when you ask again later? Does she grow defensive or irritated when you probe? Psychologically, this excuse works because it buys her freedom and time without suspicion. It leverages your trust in her professional commitments. But often, the truth reveals itself in small cracks, inconsistencies in her explanations, changes in her appearance before work, or nervousness when you press for clarity. 5. I think we need some time apart. At first, this phrase sounds mature. It gives the impression of calm reflection, of a partner who wants to pause and reset rather than explode into conflict. On the surface, it seems like a responsible step. Instead of breaking up in anger, she's suggesting taking a step back to evaluate the relationship. But in reality, I think we need some time apart is often one of the most dangerous and deceptive phrases you can hear in a relationship. Why? Because more often than not, it isn't about reflection, it's about escape. The surface illusion, a healthy pause. When a partner asks for time apart, it can be framed as something constructive. We need to work on ourselves individually. I just need clarity. I don't want us to rush into resentment. All of these reasons sound reasonable, even noble, and sometimes they can be genuine. Relationships do face difficult seasons, and taking space can be a way to cool down emotions, avoid unnecessary conflict, and reset perspectives. But here's where things get tricky. In many cases, time apart is not about working on the relationship at all. It's about creating freedom without accountability. The hidden agenda. Freedom without guilt. What she's really asking for is the right to step outside the boundaries of the relationship, without admitting that's what she's doing. By saying time apart, she creates a gray zone where loyalty is blurred. In her mind, she hasn't technically cheated if she flirts with, confides in, or even becomes intimate with someone else. Why? Because the relationship was on pause. This is the psychological loophole. It gives her the freedom to test new waters while avoiding the guilt of betrayal. Think of it like suspending a contract. The bond isn't officially broken, but the obligations are put on hold. And in that window, she's free to explore what her life looks like without you or with someone else. At its core, this phrase is about avoiding confrontation. If she's already emotionally checked out, it's easier to frame the situation as a break than to admit she's leaving. A full breakup sounds harsh, final, and guilt-inducing. But asking for time apart softens the blow, for her, not for you. It allows her to ease her conscience. I didn't break up with him, I just asked for space. Delay responsibility. Let's see how things feel after some time apart. Prepare the next step. If things work out with the other person, I'll leave completely. In short, it's not a pause for healing. It's a transition period. How do you know if time apart is genuine or just a cover? Pay close attention to the circumstances surrounding it. Suddenness. If the request comes out of nowhere, without prior conversations about issues, it's more likely a cover than a thoughtful step. Vagueness. Genuine space comes with clear intentions, e.g., I want to work on my anxiety, or I need to focus on finishing school. But if her reasons are vague, I just need to think, it's a red flag. Avoidance of solutions. If she resists discussing how to improve the relationship and instead pushes only for separation, it signals she's not invested in fixing things. Behavioral shifts. If during the time apart she becomes more secretive, distant, or emotionally unavailable, it's not about healing. It's about detachment. For men, this phrase is one of the hardest to process because it creates false hope. Instead of giving clarity, it leaves you in limbo. You don't know whether to wait, to move on, or to fight for the relationship. This uncertainty eats away at your confidence, making you feel like you're stuck on standby while she's moving freely. And that's exactly the problem. While you're waiting, she may already be building a new connection. You're holding on to hope while she's quietly transitioning to someone else. If you hear this phrase, the 6, you deserve someone better than me. At first, this phrase sounds selfless, even noble. It frames her as the one with flaws, as if she's simply not good enough for you. Many men, upon hearing it, feel sympathy rather than suspicion. They interpret it as humility, regret, or insecurity. But beneath the surface, you deserve someone better than me, often hides a much darker truth. More often than not, this isn't humility, it's confession in disguise. The surface illusion, humility and sacrifice. When a woman says this, it can appear to be a sign of emotional honesty. She positions herself as flawed, as if she's doing you a favor by stepping aside. On the surface, it sounds like she's saying, I don't want to hurt you. You deserve more than I can give. I'm not worthy of you. But what sounds like guilt and humility often masks something deeper, an attempt to offload responsibility. Instead of confessing directly, I've betrayed your trust, she reframes it as, you're too good for me. The goal is not to reveal the truth, but to soften it, to make her actions seem less about betrayal and more about her personal shortcomings. Psychologically, this phrase is a guilt release valve. When she knows she has acted dishonorably, whether through emotional or physical cheating, she experiences cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort of living in contradiction. Instead of confronting that discomfort directly, she uses this phrase to ease the burden. By telling you that you deserve better, she shifts the narrative. The focus moves from her betrayal to her inadequacy, shares the weight. You're left questioning yourself instead of her actions. Paves the way for exit. It softens the breakup, making it seem like a painful act of kindness rather than betrayal. In short, it's a way of saying, I did wrong, but instead of admitting it, I'll frame it as if I'm protecting you. Unlike I'm working late or I need more space, this phrase hits on an emotional level. It manipulates your empathy. Instead of triggering suspicion, it triggers your instinct to comfort her. Many men respond by reassuring her, no, you're amazing. I don't deserve you. And in that moment, the power flips. Instead of holding her accountable, you're suddenly fighting to convince her she's good enough, completely blind to the fact that she may be hiding infidelity. This is why the phrase is so effective. It makes you lower your guard right when you should be raising it. Not every use of this phrase means cheating, but when combined with certain behaviors, it often signals hidden guilt. Watch for sudden use of the phrase without context. If she's never expressed insecurity before but suddenly insists you deserve better, ask why now. Emotional distance. Along with this phrase, she may withdraw affection, avoid intimacy, or seem emotionally cold. Inconsistencies. If her words don't match her actions, claiming she's unworthy while spending more time away from you, it's a sign something deeper is going on. Deflection. If you press for clarity and she avoids specifics, she may be hiding something she can't bring herself to confess. For men, this phrase creates confusion. You're left questioning whether she's truly being selfless or whether you did something to make her feel unworthy. It plays on your protector instincts, making you want to reassure her rather than investigate. But this confusion is exactly why the phrase is dangerous. It pulls you away from the truth and into an emotional fog where she controls the narrative. The key is not to take the phrase at face value. Instead of rushing to comfort her, dig deeper. Ask, why do you feel that way? What makes you think I deserve better? Is there something you're not telling me? A partner who is truly insecure will respond with openness and vulnerability. A partner who is hiding guilt will deflect, grow defensive, or shut down. Her reaction will reveal more than the phrase itself. And most importantly, remember, you should never be convinced that you deserve better as an excuse for her betrayal. A relationship built on trust doesn't require these vague, guilt-ridden statements. It requires honesty. You deserve someone better than me is not just a phrase, it's a strategy. A way to mask guilt, soften the blow of infidelity, and shift responsibility away from her choices. It sounds selfless, but in reality, it often signals the opposite: selfishness disguised as humility. If you hear these words, don't be fooled by the emotional tone. Look at the actions that surround them, because in most cases, it's not about you deserving better. It's about her knowing she has already given her best to someone else. If any of these phrases sounded familiar, it's time to stop ignoring the signs. Don't wait until it's too late to protect yourself and your relationship. If this video opened your eyes, hit that like button, subscribe for more powerful insights, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, awareness isn't just power, it's protection.